Hello, ambitious dentist. So in this episode of Ask a Dental CPA, we're going to talk about the hidden tax that most dentists don't even know exist, not to mention the fact that they don't know that they're supposed to be paying it. So this episode, we're talking about sales and use tax. It's not a fun topic. It's not super sexy, but bear with me. We'll get through it. So number one, what is sales and use tax and why do you need to know about it? I'll start with the second question first. So the reason you need to know about it is because sales and use tax is incredibly easy for your state to audit you on and ding you for lots of penalties and interest. It happens all the time, and I'll be honest, they specifically target dentists for this audit. The reason being is because all they have to do in order to be able to audit you and be guaranteed some type of revenue is they look at your NAICS code on your tax return, which for dentists is something like 521-200, something that we all file with our tax returns. And then they compare that to people that have registered to pay this tax. And if you've never registered, then you're on the list, and they'll just start going through there whenever they have, junior auditors that they're trying to train on how to do audits. I've seen it time and again. So that's the reason you need to know about it. So what is sales and use tax? So we'll start with the first one, sales tax. You're probably pretty familiar with sales tax because you probably have paid, for a restaurant. You've probably paid for, for supplies. You're on to Walmart, you're on to Costco, things like that, and they'll have sales tax on there. Well, unless you're in one of those states that just doesn't have sales tax. But what sales tax is it is literally you are paying tax for purchasing something from another person. That sales tax is then typically remitted to a state government entity, and then they use those sales taxes to pay for improvements on the roads and for schools and multiple different things in your community. Very common tax. Almost every state has it. There are some states that don't have it. There are some states that will have tax-free weekends or whatever it is, but it's a very, very common tax. And so it does differ from state to state, just like use tax does, but it is pretty common. In some states, they have specific sales tax for the state. They have some for the county, some for the town, some for the the school district, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It can get very, very, very small, very fast, and the different areas they actually charge sales tax on. So with that, why does a dentist need to know what sales tax is? Well, in your office, you might be selling electric toothbrushes. You might be selling whitening kits. And in those sales, you may be needing to remit sales tax for those types of things. Now, luckily, in almost every state, dental services are not considered something you would pay sales tax on. You pay sales tax on tangible goods typically. So on that sales tax, you then have to, what would happen is, let's say you had an electric toothbrush that was $100. Don't know how much the electric toothbrush actually costs in your office, using $100 to keep the math easy and simple for you guys. And let's say that you're in a state, in an area that your sales tax is 6%. What you do, you sell it to the customer for $100. That customer or patient, if you will, would then have an additional 6% for sales tax. So whenever they paid you, they wouldn't pay you $100, they pay you $106. So you take the $106, you keep $100 of it for the purchase of that toothbrush, and then you give $6 to your state government at the end of the month or quarter or twice a year or every year, depending on what your state's rules are on how you remit those payments. And that's it. So again, most of you are probably like, well, good, we don't really even sell those things. We just have them included with, with our patient services. And so then you'd be fine if that's where we stopped. But the secret piece, the hidden piece, the piece that so many people miss is the use tax. So use tax is like a reverse sales tax in a way. So what it means is that if you don't pay sales tax on something that you should have paid sales tax on, then you have to pay what's called use tax. It's like this loophole that governments have created to try and make sure that you don't get out of sales tax no matter what. And so if you purchase something from someone who doesn't do what we were talking about with sales tax, no, they didn't charge you 106, they only charged you the 100, and never send anything to the government for $6, then it's up to you for using that product to send the $6 yourself to the government. Now, it's very confusing, right? Like, how would you know to do that if no one ever taught you how to do that? And that's the reason we're having this discussion now. So, use tax really 99% of the time doesn't come into play whenever you're, buying from person to person, because the person you're purchasing from will typically have a sales and use tax ID. It's all taken care of. Now, the trick is in today's day and age, there's a little thing called the internet. And when you purchase things on the internet, a lot of the times they don't have sales tax on them. And the reason they don't have sales tax is because they don't have a physical presence in your state, which is called nexus. And so since they don't have a physical presence in your state of doing business, they're not required by law to actually collect sales tax on behalf of those sales. The big elephant in the room on this is Amazon. They're notorious for not charging sales tax, and a lot of states hate them for that because they know a ton of people buy on Amazon, and they know that nobody pays the use tax for it. So if you're buying anything that's out of state and they don't charge you sales tax for it, then you are supposed to voluntarily remit use tax. Very, very common that dental practices in today's day and age are subject to use tax. They're liable for it, and they've never taken care of it. Now, take a deep breath if you've never paid use tax. I'm not trying to scare you. There are some good caveats. The good thing is that use tax, sales tax, doesn't count for dental services. It doesn't count in most states. It doesn't count if it goes into your patient's mouth as a use of your services. If it's like a sanitary thing, like your gloves or, Q-tips or cotton swabs or, scrubs or anything like that, then that would have use tax. Sanitary stuff does have use tax on it. But majority of practices don't really come into these giant liabilities. The problem is that, if you're buying your computers online, if you're buying things on eBay, if you're buying things from Net32, if you're buying things from Chicago Dental Supply, and you're not in a state where they have Nexus, then you're not paying sales and use tax on some of the things that you're purchasing that may actually be liable for sales and use tax. And so at the very minimum, to protect yourself, you need to register with your state with the sales and use tax ID. It's a pain. They'll send you really nasty letters if you don't file your returns, but you should be able to file those pretty easily. And I'm going to kind of lay out how to get to in your office to set up a system to be able to pay these yourself. Lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of CPAs do not do this for their clients. It's very common. And the reason it's very common is because sales and use tax laws are very specific and they change a lot. And so what the most CPAs do is they say, you need to understand that for your office and your business. We can help you understand it, but that's the limit to it. We offer as an optional service for our company, for our dental CPA firm, to do this for our clients. We have a lot of practices that just do it themselves, but if someone needs a little bit of help with it, we are more than happy to help with that as well. And so what we do when that comes on, we have a new client, we just go in, we research the tax laws, and we integrate this system into their practice. And what that system is that as invoices come in, whoever opens the mail needs to be able to spot, hey, this had sales tax on it, or hey, this did not have sales tax on it. And then once it passes that barrier of, hey, this did not have sales tax on it, you put it in a little pile, and at the end of the month or end of the quarter or whatever it is, they make a list, they send that to the CPA, and the CPA then files that sales tax return for them if the CPA is doing it. If the office is doing it themselves, then the office would then file that return and everything would be done. And so it's very simple, it's very easy to do, but again, the sales and use tax police are very real. they 100% target dentist because they know in today's day and age it's very hard to not have sales and use tax because of the fact that so many things are purchased online nowadays. So be very careful of this. Make sure to talk to your CPA about sales and use tax in your state to see if you need to be filing for this. I'm leaving a link in the description below with a really great resource with all the different states with their sales and use tax laws. It talks about registering. It tells you how to pay it. It tells you the frequency and some other different little tidbits about your state down in the description box below. So if you have any other questions, feel free to reach out to us. Jonathan at dentistmetrics is my email.com, or Jonathan at dentistmetrics.com is my email address. Our website is dentistmetrics.com, and I hope to hear from you soon, and I hope this has been really helpful for you.